The third episode of The Last of Us begins right after Joel and Ellie lost Tess. Ellie tries to talk to Joel about his loss, and Joel obviously did not take this accident very well. As they keep moving, Ellie tries more and more to approach to Joel, but Joel is not interested. Ellie, of course, being a 14-year-old, says cheesy jokes and wants to make small talk, but Joel is too sad to care. They keep moving, and after a while, they reach a small building on their way. Inside the building, Ellie finds a Mortal Kombat machine, and boy oh boy, wouldn't it be just wonderful to have the Mortal Kombat machine in the apocalypse? Anyways, Joel is looking for some weapons that he has stashed there before, and Ellie is wandering around the building, even though Joel tells her not to. Then, Ellie goes to a room and suddenly she finds a secret door that leads to a basement. Curious as a cat, Ellie goes inside there and she finds some tampons. All of a sudden, she hears a sound and she sees one of the zombies is stuck under the rocks. Instead of crapping her pants and running away or even calling for Joel, Ellie approaches the zombie, and after analyzing it for a few seconds, she takes out her knife and makes a cut on the zombie's face. Then, in cold blood, she sticks her knife into the brains of the zombie. This girl has some serious issues. Joel finds the guns that he put there before and they leave the place. On their way, they reach a plane crash site, and there, even though Joel tells Ellie not to look and go forward, she goes forward and looks. There are lots and lots of skeletons there. This crash site has a sad story and Joel tells it to Ellie. Back when the virus started to spread, these skeletons that used to be people, of course, were extracted from their homes to be taken somewhere safe, but because the place was already filled with people, government got rid of them all. I guess you can't trust the government, doesn't matter when and where. And then a flashback starts and it almost takes the whole episode. We cut to 20 years earlier in the year 2003 and the government is extracting people from their houses, and there we meet Bill. Bill is a survivalist, and from the bunker inside his house, he's looking at surveillance cameras. When the cars leave, he comes out of his bunker with a shotgun and looks around. He is all alone, so he's living his dream. He goes to different shops and loots them, opens gas for himself and gets himself electricity. Enough supplies to get through this situation. In one point, a zombie approaches his house and he hits a wire and gets shotgunned in the face. Booby traps work too. 4 years later, in the year 2007, Bill made himself a great house and a place and barricaded the whole city around him. Then, in one of his monitors, he sees that someone fell into one of his holes that he created out front. He goes out to check on it, and inside, there is a man by the name of Frank. Frank says that he was moving with 10 men and they wanted to change their place, and he is the only survival. Bill checks him for fungus really thoroughly and then invites him in. Of course, the man forces himself into the house because he didn't have any place to go. Inside Bill's house, Frank takes a shower and sits at the table, and Bill brings him a wonderful dish. When the food is over, Frank is supposed to leave according to his deal, and he shouldn't also tell anyone about this place. But he sees a piano and says that he will only do one song and then he will leave. Bill is a bit shocked and weirded out, but says that's okay. Frank starts to play, and the tune that he is playing is the one that Bill really loves and reminds him of his mother. After a while, Bill himself sits someplace. The suspense is rising, and then things get a bit heated and Frank approaches and kisses Bill on the lips. In the next scene, Frank is laying on the bed, and then Bill comes out of the shower and joins him, and they have sex. A few years later, we see them arguing about something, and we see that Frank stayed at the place and they are in a relationship. The reason why they were arguing was about the fact that Frank wanted to invite people over, but Bill was against this idea. Then we cut to a nice table and Joel and Tess are sitting and Bill and Frank are there too. By the looks of it, it seems like Tess and Frank are trading things with one another, and although Joel and Bill are not really into this, after a while they realize that it's not a bad idea and they can help each other out. so they form a kind of a friendship. As years go by, we see Bill and Frank having a wonderful life together. They grow plants and vegetables together. They get attacked at one point and Bill gets shot, but he's okay. They are there for each other through thick and thin. Then we cut to a few years later. The year is 2023, which means the present time. Frank is on a wheelchair and Bill is taking care of him. They eat together and we find out that Frank is really ill and weak and he is not even strong enough to hold his spoon. They go to bed and when Bill wakes up in the morning, he sees Frank sitting by the bed. Frank says that it is his last day and wants to go, willingly. The whole day, they do some activities that Frank loves and they get married at the end. They return home and Bill made a wonderful dinner. The same dinner that he made for Frank when they first met, when Bill invited Frank inside his house. They start to eat and Bill brings a bottle of wine. They both drink wine and Bill says that he put poison in the whole bottle of wine and not only in the Frank's glass. So they both go to bed and sleep forever. Joel and Ellie arrive at Bill and Frank's place, but there is no one there, and as it seems, it has been a few months since Bill and Frank decided to do the thing that they did. Joel and Ellie search around the house and Ellie finds a letter that Bill wrote for Joel. Inside the letter, Bill told Joel to take care of Tess and Joel gets really upset. They spend a few hours there, both of them take a shower and Joel finds the car that he needed. They get guns and supplies and at the end, they leave the place in Bill's truck. This was the recap of the third episode of The Last of Us. Make sure to check the recap of previous episodes too. Thank you